There are people who enter a room like a ripple. No announcement, no raised voice, no deliberate attempt to be seen, and yet the moment they arrive, the air changes. Conversations soften, movements slow. It's a subtle shift that most miss unless they are paying attention to the silence between the noise. I notice because I wasn't always one of them. For years, I chased magnetism through performance, thinking I needed to be louder to be heard. Today, we explore how to master the way you show up. I used to think magnetism was about doing more, saying the right things, being sharper, quicker, louder. I believed attraction lived in the polish of a projected confidence. I chased it the way people chase approval, mistaking attention for true connection. But true connection doesn't require a megaphone, it requires a mirror. Then one evening, after a day that left me hollowed out and irritable, I met someone who changed everything, someone who understood the true weight of strength. It happened in a small cafe tucked between a bookstore and a closed tailor shop, the kind of place where nothing dramatic ever happens, except inside the mind. Wooden tables, worn smooth by elbows, low amber lights, the smell of coffee and rain-soaked pavement drifting in through the open door. It was the perfect escape. That's when I noticed him. He wasn't scrolling, wasn't watching the door, he wasn't trying to look busy or important, he just was still, relaxed, present. There was nothing striking about his appearance, no carefully curated outfit. If I passed him on the street, I wouldn't look twice, and yet the room felt quieter around him. A group nearby lowers their voices. The barista pauses and smiles for no clear reason. Even my own breathing slows, my body responding before my mind can catch up. Later, as the rain turned the windows into silver streaks, he looked up and our eyes met. There was no rush in his gaze, no assessment, no hunger, just acknowledgement. "Is this seat taken?" he asked. His voice wasn't flat or rehearsed, it was grounded. I hesitated, then sat. I didn't know then that my perspective was about to shift. He didn't try to impress me. He listened to the silence between us like it was part of the conversation. "You look tired," he said, not as a judgment, but an observation. I almost laughed. "Is it that obvious?" I asked. He smiled. "Only if you're paying attention." Most people don't pay attention. They just wait for their turn to speak. They rush to fill gaps, to soothe discomfort, to explain themselves into importance. This man gave silence room to breathe. He let my exhaustion just exist. I found myself talking freely about work, pressure, and the strange exhaustion of constantly needing to be on. He didn't interrupt. He didn't mirror my emotions. He just listened. I felt lighter. Not because my problems were solved, but because they had been received. "You don't need to rush," he said. "Take your time." It was the first time I'd heard that in years. "I used to think calm meant avoiding chaos," he continued. "Now I know it means not letting chaos live inside me." That sentence stayed with me long after the night ended. We exchanged weightless truths. He didn't name philosophies, but every word felt chosen. As he stepped into the rain, I realized magnetism isn't something you do. It's something you become. The opportunity to practice came sooner than expected. My sister called the next afternoon, her name lighting up my phone while I was buried in emails. Usually, I'd be distracted. Not today. I answered. I stopped my hands. I listened to the tightness in her breath. I let her speak until she found her own truth. She was just tired of proving herself. I didn't need to fix it. "I'm really glad you told me," I said. The silence that followed was warm. I'd done something meaningful by doing nothing at all. Listening is an act of discipline, of restraint. I tested the habit in meetings, in grocery store lines. I noticed how many people are starving to be heard without judgment. Listening isn't gathering info, it's offering presence. People began to lean in. They slowed down, they felt safe, and I realized magnetism wasn't about being smarter. It was about making others feel safe in your silence. Then came the real test. A gray Tuesday, a crowded platform, an urgent email that made my stomach tighten. The familiar urge to react, to defend, to panic. But I stopped. Is this within my control? I asked myself. I couldn't change the meeting, but I could decide how I carried myself into the unknown. I took a slow breath and let my shoulders drop. The meeting room was thick with collective anxiety. I recognized the energy. I'd lived in it for years. But today, I sat down, placed my hands flat, and simply breathed through the chaos. I spoke simply, honestly. I don't have all the answers yet, but we can handle this if we slow down. The room quieted. Calm is contagious, and it doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. I saw the shoulders loosen. I saw eyes lift. My colleague asked how I stayed so grounded. I told her, it's about learning what not to react to. Inner peace isn't escaping noise. It's not letting it live in you. You don't talk much, but when you do, people listen. I realized that command of respect doesn't come from volume. It comes from clarity and a settled mind. Silence is its own language. Speaking is a responsibility. Every word carries weight. When you are at peace with yourself, you don't need to manipulate or impress. You add value because it matters, not because you fear silence. Then, the quietest setback. A message. We've decided to move in a different direction. I let the disappointment sit. I didn't recoil. Rejection isn't an enemy. It's an opportunity to strip away illusions. Turn the obstacle into the way. I'd tied my identity to the outcome. This moment was asking me, who are you without the validation? My skills, my discipline, my values, those remained. Amor Fati, love your fate. Not because it's gentle, but because it is shaping you. I chose to stand up one more time than I fell. Resilience isn't ignoring pain, it's refusing to let it define you. Magnetism isn't about being universally liked. It's about being reliable, consistent, anchoring your worth to your values, not to the fragile praise or criticism of others. They sense the quiet strength. I feel grounded now. I watch who fills the room with noise and who fills it with calm. I've become the latter. Magnetism was never something to chase. It's the natural byproduct of self-mastery. True magnetism belongs to those who keep walking, quietly, steadily, those who don't need to be seen, but choose every day to be true. It's built habits by habit, moment by moment. People are drawn to you when you become a safe harbor, when they don't have to perform, when you are simply, truly at peace. That is the ultimate power. Thank you for walking this path with me. As we wrap up this 10-minute journey, I want you to take one thing with you. Your presence is your greatest gift. If you've enjoyed this Stoic exploration, subscribe for more. Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you cultivate calm in your own chaos? See you in the next one.